Namaskaram. Today, when we talk about the Chola kingdom, the Chola empire, which is one of the world's largest and finest empires, we immediately think of the great magnificent city of Tanjore, built by the great emperor Rajaraja Chola, and the monumental historic Brihadishwara temple that was built by the king. But if you look at the historical records, Tanjavur was a city created more or less by the king Rajaraja Chola, with all the settlements and the temples and everything. But prior to his time, during the days of his father and his grandfather and the entire Chola empire before Rajaraja Chola, they had a different capital city, and it was a magnificent city, and it was known as Padayare. So this city was also known as Ayirattali, the city of 1,000 temples. It was such a magnificent city, spanning around 10 to 15 kilometers distance, and there were so many temples. So we see from historical records, inscriptions, that they had planned and built this wonderful city, Payare, in a way that there were 4 temples in the 4 directions, north, east, south, and west. There were 4 army camps called Padaividu, where the soldiers prepare for war, and also there was a grand palace called Cholan Maligai. So this was a huge city that existed before Tanjavur, and all the kings and queens of the Chola dynasty before Rajaraja lived in this Padayare. Today, however, this city is not visible in the map, and whatever temples are remaining of this city are all in a very ruined state, or existing without much visitors or much maintenance. So it is almost like the entire city has been wiped off from the map. So how is it that a city bigger than Tanjavur, richer than Tanjavur in many ways, has completely vanished? What is the reason for the vanishing of this ancient capital? Is there a historical reason, or is there some kind of a spiritual reason beyond it? The answer is there is a spiritual reason why this has happened. To understand that, we need to look at the existence of Padayare today, which is mentioned that it is existing in the form of 15 to 16 villages in the area between Tanjavur and Kumbakonam. In particular, it covers the portions of the towns known today as Dharasharam, Patishwaram, SWAMIMALAI, and all the villages nearby. Among that, you can find the spiritual reason for this happening from the place called SWAMIMALAI. So SWAMIMALAI is a very famous temple of Muruga, who is also known as Kartikeya or Subramanya, and it is one of the 6 main temples of Muruga, known as the Arupadai Veedu. It is the 4th temple. So this temple of Swamimalai, if you look at the history, it is said to be the place where Muruga gave the teachings of the meaning of Om, Omkaram, also known as Pranavam, to Shiva, who is none other than the father of Muruga. So Muruga is teaching the secrets of Omkaram to his father in Swamimalai. And that teaching is supposed to be a secret, so that is why the sculpture of Swamimalai shows Muruga teaching this and explaining the secrets of Om to Shiva sitting beside his ear. So that secrecy is maintained. So now we may ask, what is the secret? What did Muruga teach Shiva? So, and how is it connected with Padayare? The answer is very clear if we look at the 15 or 16 villages mentioned about Padayarai, mentioned as the villages that make up Padayarai. If we plot them on a map, this is a beautiful shape that we get. This shape itself is the shape of the Omkara in the Devanagari and other old Indian alphabets. So it clearly reveals that the secret of Omkaram taught by Muruga is not just a normal teaching, but it is enshrined in the whole area around Swamimalai, which constitutes the ancient city of Padayarai. So obviously, because the Padayarai has the secret of Omkaram within it, that gives a clear proof of the reason why the Cholas were so successful. Because if you look at the entire history of Indian kings and rulers and emperors, the Chola kingdom was probably the only kingdom which went even outside India, extended its territory outside India to Sri Lanka, to Burma, Thailand, Indonesia, Indochina, and the entire areas of Southeast Asia. So such a far-reaching, such a successful, rich and wealthy empire of the Cholas, the secret of that clearly seems to be this Omkaram and the 16 villages which formed their capital. Now, so talking from a spiritual standpoint, practitioners of Shaktam or worship of Devi, goddess Shakti, especially in her form as Srividya or Lalita, will know that there are 16 forms of Devi called Titinityas, which correspond to the 16 phases of the moon, the lunar cycle. So one might wonder if there is a connection between the 16 Titinitya Devis and the 16 villages and the temples that are enshrined there. The answer is exactly there is a connection between the 16 Titinityas and the 16 places. So obviously, if you look at the listing of the Titinityas, 15 Titinityas are mentioned which correspond to the 15 lunar days starting from Pratami to Paurnami or Amavasya. The 16th is considered to be Lalita herself or the mother goddess herself. Similarly, if you look at the places, you have the places from 1 to 15 as the 15 villages from Avur to Nallur as shown in this map. The 16th is Swamimalai itself, which forms the Bindu or the dot above the Omkara. So that is the importance of Swamimalai, firstly speaking. And second, even the history, the spiritual history or the Sthala Puranam of Avur and Nallur clearly mentions that there is an episode where there is a fight between Adisesha and Vayu. Adisesha, the great serpent god, and Vayu, the god of wind, had a fight on the Mount Kailash. And in that fight, the top portion of the Mount Kailash had broken up, and two small hillocks from that portion were installed in two places, and these two places are mentioned as Avur and Nallur. So it is clearly that this energy of Kailash is enshrined in this particular place as the two endpoints of the Omkara. So this is the reason why in a lot of towns in this Padayarai, the Cholas have built temples to Shiva, different forms of Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu and all that. But lot of places in this set you can find temples called Kailashanatha, Shiva in the form of Kailashanatha, to remember this legend of Kailasha being installed here. So that is the spiritual power of Padayarai. And so here is a mapping of the 16 temples, the 16 forms of Devi or unique forms of the gods in the 16 temples, arranged as a chakra or yantra of 16 petals, a geometric form of 16 lotus petals. showing the goddesses in each of the forms along with the name of the place and name of the goddess and the corresponding Titi Nitya that it corresponds to in the listing of the Sri Vidya forms of Devi. Now, so this requires a very detailed understanding which we shall explore, but just to give a background, it is true that the history of Parayarai is very much intimately connected with the spirituality of the secret of Omkara. In fact, in a lot of scriptures we find that there is a fifth Veda. We usually know of the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva Veda. But some scriptures mention that there was a fifth Veda which was called as Pranava Veda, because Brahma, the god of the Vedas, initially had 5 phases. So the fifth phase corresponded to a fifth Veda called Pranava Vedam. Pranava meaning Omkara. So if we think about it that way, then it is very clear that whatever is the knowledge and wisdom of Pranava Vedam, it is very much encoded in this beautiful area of Parayarai and its surrounding villages. And so if we understand the deities and in the temples and all that which are installed here and their correspondence with the Titi Nityas, then we can clearly understand the secret of the Pranava Vedam, the fifth Veda. So with that, here is by this video I conclude and I give an overview. I have given an overview of the secret of spirituality behind the magnificent place called Parayarai. Om Tat Sat.
Vamadeva Thank you.